is my place, and I am welcome.
Or to Sheila. Take it away, Sheila.
Okay, and Sheila is getting her share, and I think she did it. Okay, wonderful. So good morning, everybody. And this morning's talk, as Vesna mentioned, is a continuation of the talk from yesterday or from last week. It feels like yesterday to me because I've been working on it all week, but the whole imagination power, it really is a superpower, and we overestimate it and underestimate it and misuse it in so many different ways. Last week we talked about, you know, what it can be in a powerful way, and this week we're going to be covering, you know, some of the downsides of it or the cautions that come with it. And why is my thing not advancing? There we go. So Sawabona, this is me acknowledging that we are all one and that I am reaching across space and time to connect heart to heart and mind to mind. That which allows my eyes to see is looking back at me through you. And we're coming together to co-create this time, and my invitation is to make that sacred. So the response to that, if you are willing to see me and make it sacred time, is Yabo Sawabona. So as Vesna mentioned, Unity Worldwide Ministries for the whole year is putting forward ways to staying centered no matter what. And the month of July is all about spiritual understanding. I know everything is unfolding for my highest good, and how I would like to apply that today is looking at our power from last month, which is my imagination brings possibilities to life, and how those two powers can reinforce one another, and the one without the other can be quite a painful experience if we're not careful. So these two powers, Charles Fillmore identified 12 powers. He called the 12 powers of humanity, or the 12 powers of man, and he referred to them as the divine faculties. And each one of these can be well developed, well balanced, and wisely used by every human being because they are innate within us. You can't not have them. And if you develop balance and use them wisely, you create a life that you love to live. This is our opportunity for creating joy, prosperity, well-being, everything we want in life. And welcome to planet Earth, where we're growing and learning. And so they can also be underdeveloped, underexpressed, overdeveloped, or overexpressed, and blatantly misused. And we get to experience all of it. Lucky us. So looking at how all of this happens with the power of imagination is kind of where I want to go today. So what makes imagination the cause of suffering? And let me just say that the reason I'm sharing this with you is my acknowledgement that the misuse of imagination has probably caused more suffering in my life than anything else. And the reason for that is because the creative process, everything is created twice. If you've studied the book of Genesis and the Bible at all, you recognize that everything is created twice. The first time it's created in mind as energy and as an idea. And then that crystallizes or solidifies or manifests into expression in the physical world. So imagination, it works at that level of idea and mind. So if you want to get out ahead of the manifestation, or you want to understand how things came into expression, going back to seeing how we use our mind and use the power of the imagination and learn how to use it consciously and wisely and in ways that are helpful to our lives. So meaning making. One of the things that or aspects of imagination is all about the meaning that we give things. Nothing has any meaning but the meaning we give it. And that's a quote from Course in Miracles, but you see it reflected throughout the ages by many different teachers and spiritual traditions. And really, this is an acknowledgement that life is happening in our heads as much as out there. Things happen out there and we give it the meaning that it has for us. And we can't turn it off. No matter what you take in the experience and it means something to you. Any label you put on it, the editing that your mind automatically does because there's so much to take in. So the bits and pieces of it that the mind picks out and chooses to notice or focus on, there is cropping and editing. Just like, if you take a video of an event, it is one peephole vision of that event. It is not the whole event. We've had a fantastic opportunity to experience this in spades over the celebration or the not celebration or the deep contemplating of Canada Day and what it means for each individual and to a nation collectively, or to a colonial conglomerate named Canada collectively, however you want to think of that, or whatever meaning you want to put in that. And recognizing that no matter what meaning we give or how much we expand our capacity to understand and see, we're still only seeing a small fraction. And the misuse of imagination, the power of imagination, is when we think that those memories, collective, individual, recorded, whatever, however you take those in, if we start mistaking those memories as something more tangible than our imagination and more tangible than meaning making. Because if it's not here and now, it is all in the imagination. And what pieces of it we bring to the here and now are also in our imagination, happening within our imagination. We cannot turn it off, but we can become conscious and we can make choices about becoming aware of the fact that this is the reflection of my own thoughts, my own beliefs, my own experience, and be acknowledging that the other individuals are going to see and feel and experience it completely differently, and nobody's wrong. Everybody is correct in their perception for them. Even if we say it doesn't match the facts are just agreed upon beliefs, which is, we can explore that another time. Anyway, when it comes to meaning making, if we're not aware that we're using our imagination, we go straight from stimulus to reaction. You say, this is that, and therefore I feel, experience, do, react this way. Because this, then this. It's just an equal thing. It's and this is how karma works. It's that action reaction. It's a physical appearance, living in physical form, physical expression. So the alternative then is going from stimulus to a pause, a space, and the more space we can give ourselves there, and whether that's the counting to 10, if it's, or whether it's taking a deep breath, or whether it's feeling our feet, or whether it's pausing to allow ourselves to see the divine looking through the eyes of the other person. However we do that taking space in mind and heart, then we all of a sudden options open up, alternatives open up, and we can choose a response. And that just explodes the possibilities and opportunities that we have. So the danger is in not recognizing that we're doing this anyway in a very tight, unconscious way that's unavoidable. And so taking the time to make it conscious to give ourselves the choice is making our lives the potential for so much more. So underdeveloped imagination. This makes us totally stuck in appearance and totally limits our options. When our imagination can't see any other possibilities, when our imagination can't reach out in empathy to connect and walk in another's shoes, when our imagination can't go to solutions, when our imagination can't connect into the deep source in divine mind, we're stuck with appearance. It's a lot more linear, and our options truly are so limited. That's that stimulus reaction thing that I was just talking about. So imagination it really is our internal multimedia whiteboard for thoughts and ideas. So we have the opportunity to try on ideas and see how they feel, and expand our experience, expand our capacity, recognizing that the more expanded we become, the more capacity we have. This is where we truly do experience freedom that cannot be limited in any sort of way by anything other than our own mind and our own beliefs. The moment we let ourselves out of our own cage, that imagination is connected to divine mind, and we have access to the universe. You can think of it as, like our individual selves that we think of as our body, or the mind occupying the body that we have, connected to source, connected to one another through the internet, exactly like computers. Standalone computers think they're separate until they're connected to the internet, and then they have access suddenly to the World Wide Web, to all of it. And I admit that the separate computers is a nice analogy for our physical bodies as being separate from one another. And we all know that that's illusion. A better analogy would be, separate data files within the net, that everything truly is energy. No different than we are, mind and body connected to source. So we get to acknowledge then, using that metaphor, that you can't control what comes up in your mind, what thoughts come to mind, any more than you can control pop-ups on your computer that's connected to the internet. So whether it's nasty, ugly things, or celebrity, or news, or whether it's fantasy, or whether it's information, or whether it's learning, or whatever, you get to whatever comes to mind, whatever thoughts come through your mind, like that the Zen koan refers to them as clouds floating through your mind. Meditation is becoming aware of your thoughts and watching them as they come and go and dissolve. And it's no different than looking at your computer screen and watching the ads change. And our power comes in what do we click on? Probably all of us here have had the experience of clicking on something that takes us down a rabbit hole in our computers, whether it's something on Facebook, or whether it's YouTube videos, or one click leads to the next click leads to the next click, and suddenly, an hour has disappeared, or the day has disappeared, or whatever. And the invitation is to recognize this is exactly what happens within our own minds. And we've all had the experience, or maybe it's an assumption, and I'll own it for myself. One thought leads to the next thought, leads to the next thought. That's where the expression train of thought comes from, right? And so acknowledging that we have the opportunity to lay down more track and let it plow forward, or to derail it and choose something else. Click again. Meditation is that choosing just to turn off the computer for a moment, or go to a blank screen. The mind connecting to source is that analogy. So with respect to our imagination then, the recognition that this really is a whiteboard in our mind to try on ideas, we don't want to be afraid to write on that blank board. When we first come into new thought thinking and, you know, the power of positive thinking and so forth, when we start to see how negative thinking can, you know, spiral us downward, we can become afraid of our own thoughts and afraid of negative thoughts that come up, or afraid of of situations. And recognizing that in thought and all memory and all stepping into another's shoes and all of, you know, anything that we're taking in that way really is just a thought. We don't have to give it, we don't have to link it to our other powers. We don't have to give it the power of our emotion, the energy of our emotion. We don't have to give it and link it to our creativity or our faith. And recognizing that faith is believing in what is not yet manifested. A belief is just something that we've tied our energy to. So when we recognize that our imagination is the opportunity to try these things on, we can do so from a space of curiosity, from a space of acceptance. You know, what is happening out here, and these are the abundant different meanings that I can give to it. I don't have to get upset over it. That's becomes a choice when we start to really understand, bring spiritual understanding to our power of imagination. And there is such a thing as helpful negative imaging. And you go, how is, you know, negative thinking helpful? And it's, well, it can catch problems early. When you first come up with this brilliant idea, big project, brilliant idea, having somebody around to list all of the problems and why it won't work and all the bad ideas associated with it, having that list so that you can identify them and like address them, clear them out of the way, tick them off, or acknowledge, yeah, that could come up and we'll need a means of dealing with it. So that you don't have to make all the mistakes yourself, or you don't have to actually make all the mistakes. You can prevent them or come up with the solutions ahead of time. Negative imaging can also provide the motivation to not go there. When we ask ourselves, when we're struggling with motivation to move forward on something, and we ask ourselves the question of, what is it costing me not to follow through on my exercise program? Or what is it costing me to not take action on the book I want to write? Or what is it costing me not to follow the dream that I have? Feeling into and not being afraid to let the imagination go down that road, to identify all of the negative aspects of it. Suddenly we've got a lot of pain pushing us to make the change. It would be wonderful if pulled by vision was strong enough to move us and we didn't need the pushed by pain. But if the pull of vision finds us still stuck butt, then having that nudge or that boot from the pushed by pain can help overcome inertia. And again, I'll totally own that. You know, maybe that's not your experience. Maybe pulled by vision is your way to go. And often once you've actually gone to that space of pushed by pain, acknowledging it, saying thank you for the awareness, and going back to embrace the pulled by vision is so much nicer to move forward in life than to continue to allow yourself or force yourself to be pushed by pain. And again, recognizing that it's all in our heads, it's all our imagination, it's all choices. The realization that the worst can happen and I'm still okay. You know, the head can go through all of the You know, well, if this happens, that happens, and oh my God, and if that happens, this will happen, and down the, you know, right down the toilet, you know, and I'll end up penniless on the street, as Martha Creek would say. She is just so skilled at teaching this. And when we recognize that we're still okay, sometimes it gives us the courage to go ahead and move forward. So how to not let negative imaging, you know, affect our life in a negative way is don't link it to our creativity. Extend love to it, accept it for what it is, acknowledge it for what it is as negative imaging. This is, you know, this is not where I want to go, or this is not my preference. And extending love to it, and where do I go from here, or what's the alternative? And start to get clear on that. So don't dwell on it, don't stay there. As other ministers are so prone to saying, you know, go through hell, but don't camp there. Don't set up camp. When going through hell, don't stop. Use it to identify the contrast. So often we hear ourselves saying, I don't know what I want. I'd envision it if I knew what I want. Well, if you know what you don't want and you're feeling that, get it written down so you're really clear on what it is you don't want, and then write out what is the opposite of that, or what is the contrast that you do want to experience. And suddenly you're clear on what it is you do want, and allows you then to be pulled by vision. So the worry and that whole aspect of negativity, and Jesus' don't worry, be happy speech is Matthew 6:25-34. In which he describes the lilies of the field are looked after. Easiest probably just to read it. Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not more valuable than they? And can any of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your lifespan? And why do you worry about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin, yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not clothed like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which is alive today and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? Therefore, do not worry, saying, what will we eat, or what will we drink, or what will we wear? For it is the Gentiles who strive for these things, and indeed your heavenly Father knows that you need all of these things. But strive first for the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be given unto you. So do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. Today's trouble is enough for today. And he's really telling us to use our imagination wisely, to be present to the present moment, be conscious of what meaning we're giving it, and to link our imagination to our faith and to our faculty of spiritual understanding, knowing that everything works out for us. So the imagination and fantasy, for some people, fantasy is what they live in. And their challenge is to actually embody essence, to bring it into manifestation to live the life that they came here to be, to embody it and be fully present in physical form. For other people, fantasy is exactly that, fantasy, and it's a waste of time and it's completely impractical. So learning the balance and learning how to use it in helpful ways so that we're neither wasting our physical form, presence, opportunity at life to live it into physical form, rather than lost in fantasy, or not experiencing the openness and the vastness of fantasy. There's a balance in there, and we get to figure out where that is for each of ourselves, and know that that balance isn't going to be the same for everybody. One of the ways that fantasy can be used so constructively is a frequency uplifter. When you're surrounded in darkness, pain, and suffering, sometimes that retreating into your into your mind, into fantasy, into imagination for the possibilities of what might be, can lift your mood and help you see things differently, help you radiate from a different space, become that different mind in which solutions are available. As Einstein described, Albert Einstein described, you can't solve a problem from the same mind that created it. And recognizing that staying there too long becomes escapism, and it's not really helpful. If we're too heavenly minded, we're of no earthly good. So, and don't stop at the imagination. Bring it into manifestation. Link it to all the other 12 powers so that we bring it fully into this present world experience, into the now moment. And I deleted the meditation slide. So just to wrap up, just acknowledging that our power of meditation is truly a double-edged sword. It is absolutely brilliant. It is our opportunity to get out ahead of what we're creating. And as that double-edged sword, we get to become more conscious and more adept in its use. With that awareness, I invite us now into meditation. And Daniel Maymont has a beautiful song for us. So just listening into it with your heart.
I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. Inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is more than enough. Inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is sacred love. I will leave this day, I will leave this day as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this day as it is, go inside to find my God. Inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is more than enough. Inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is sacred love. I will leave this life as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this life as it is, go inside to find my God. Go inside to find my God. I'll go inside to find my God.
Deep breath, acknowledging that one power and one presence of which we are each and all a part. Allowing yourself, using the power of imagination, to breathe into and experience into the love within your own heart that is the truth of your being. Opening into that wonderful love, that wisdom. Invite in whatever it is you need today. Is it peace? Is it stillness? Is it love? Is it solution? Is it rest? Is it rejuvenation? The divine within you knows and offers that inspiration. I invite you to take some time in the silence now to receive. Returning to the physical present, we give thanks, loving gratitude for the awareness that this love, this inspiration, this connection is here anytime we want to tap into it. Always love, always support. Deep gratitude. Amen.
This is my